1966 and 1986, resulting in students, parents, and staff suffering and loss of lives. Through perseverance and the years of peace ushered in by the NRM government, Makerere rose from the ashes alongside the rest of the country to the renowned and robust university we see today. Together with our partners in development and friends, we are still striving to improve the working conditions, to revamp the university infrastructure, set up new and needed structures, and we have new curricula. Therefore, we are very grateful to our partners in development and friends who have stood with us, but most of all, we are grateful to our government. Why are we grateful to the government? We are grateful to the NRM government because it shepherds the Ugandan child right from birth by ensuring this child will live, by God's grace, with no feeble mind or body, by immunizing them from various childhood immunizable diseases. Government then ensures that at 6 years of age, the child can walk to a universal primary school within their parish to receive primary education. At 13 years, that child can transition to a universal secondary school in their sub-county. Government's hope now and prayer is that the parish development model will empower the family to support the child with other needs such as transport to school each day, so that each child can just take a bicycle and cycle himself or herself to school each day. Then, at 19 years of age, that child is ready for post-secondary education, which can be Makerere University or another university or a technical or a teacher education or a health training institution. Government is doing everything possible to organize our education as we strive to transform our homeland. Therefore, as we celebrate Makerere University 100 years this year, we must thank God for where He has brought us from and where we stand today. From 14 students where Makerere opened its doors to now 38,000 students today. The lesson to learn is that we must strive to stand together and not allow anyone or anything to divide us. Divisive forces do not promote development. We must seek dialogue in conflict resolution rather than strikes and violence. The Uganda government and the taxpayers have invested heavily in education and certainly in Makerere University more and more as the funding becomes available. Recently, for instance, more funding has been invested in research, and we also received funding through the government processes for funding the construction of a 300-bed teaching hospital and other vital structures that will help to expand Makerere University. Number 3, thankfully, Makerere has produced high-caliber human resources serving and thriving in all spheres of life worldwide. It has produced medical doctors, agriculturists, teachers, social scientists, engineers, lawyers, architects, journalists, economists, accountants, mothers, fathers, and the list goes on and on. The lesson to learn here is that the work and output of our lives must positively impact our community and society. Education must be relevant to meeting the needs of our community for transformation. Education is part of the nation's ecosystem. Its output must have demonstrable economic, social, environmental, and health impacts. An efficient and effective human resource buttresses the other national development plan areas such as industrialization, innovation, mineral resource development, and private sector development, to mention only a few. As I conclude, let me reiterate government's commitment to support the growth of higher education in Uganda and the unwavering support of Makerere University. The NRM government treasures Makerere University as a high-value partner in the modernization and transformation of our society. That is why government's investments in this institution have increased over the years. For example, between 2009 and 2021, the university's wage bill provision increased from Uganda shillings 49 billion to Uganda shillings 206 billion. There has also been considerable growth in the university's non-wage and capital development budgets. Since the financial year 2019-2020, government introduced an annual contribution of Uganda shillings 30 billion towards research funding at Makerere University alone. And as some of you may remember, only a week ago, we were there at Makerere to lay a foundation stone for the reconstruction of the main administration building and for another building at the School of Law. We also commissioned a building at the Central Teaching Facility and another building at the School of Dentistry. And all this is being done using funding from Government of Uganda. Makerere is therefore beginning a new century with a very positive on a very positive note, and its trajectory is very promising. As we celebrate your success today, I challenge you not to forget where we have come from as a nation and a university. Love your nation, defend it, and diligently work to address the aspirations of our nation articulated in the current National Development Plan and the many yet to come for the transformation of our communities and prosperity. It is now my singular honor to invite the President to address the congregation, and I thank you and God bless you.
You see me? The Honorable Minister of Education, all the other ministers, the Chancellor of Makerere University, the Vice Chancellor, the academicians, members of the Diplomatic Corps, and the graduates of Makerere. First of all, I congratulate everybody, the academicians, the graduates, on the 72nd graduation ceremony of Makerere University. Congratulations. Secondly, I congratulate Makerere University on the 100 years of existence. An institution like Makerere is very important in the history of Uganda, in the history of our society. It is a pity that the traditional chiefs had not bothered to learn about modern education. It is true that we are deep inland in the continent of Africa. However, it is clear that for many years, from the time of Vasco da Gama, people with new knowledge were coming by the East African coast. Remember, Vasco da Gama passed there in 1498. And he even attacked Mombasa on the way to India. Since that time, these Europeans were coming and passing by Zanzibar, especially, Bagamoyo, and so on. It was therefore clear that some new people with new knowledge, new ways of doing things, were coming to Africa. The traditional leaders should have taken trouble to discover more about these people who had new technology, like the gunpowder. At that time, that was the main one, so that they learn and, if necessary, copy them. However, in their self-glorious self-deception, they never bothered. Until 1862, when Huntington Speke came here, physically. But even then, it took some years. It was not until 74, when Stanley came here and again talked with Mutesa, that Mutesa wrote a letter to Europe, inviting people to come and teach religion. Indeed, the missionaries came, the Church of Uganda people, the Church Mission, CMS, came in 1877, and the Roman Catholics in 1879. Unfortunately, they came with their own confusion, transporting their conflicts in Europe between the Catholics and the Protestants to our country here, plus the rivalry with the Muslims. And that caused so much suffering for some years. But eventually, some new learning started taking place, starting with the missionary schools like Budo, Chisubi, and so on, Namagunga, and eventually culminating into Makerere in 1921. That's why we are celebrating the 100 years. Now, this institution, although it was set up by the colonial government, mainly for their own interests, nevertheless, over time, we have benefited from this modern education, especially in the sciences. Uganda has definitely benefited from Makerere. Initially,